Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 18 of overcoming injuries, and today let's actually talk about injuries. Let's talk about why, in my opinion, many people are prone to injuries, and it's because of one mistake, and it's a mistake I've made in the past as well, because of which I basically got injured in my forearm, and then I would train planche, which, if you don't know, it's the push-up movement you're seeing in this little circuit on the screen right now. I would do the planche, I would train it for a couple of weeks, and then get injured in my forearm again. I would allow it to rest, and then I would get injured again, and this would just repeat. And there's basically one thing that I did in general to get it fixed. And in order to explain it, I'm gonna kind of compare the training with a Pokemon game, right? So let's say, you're a Charmander, right? You're Charmander, and you're going to the gym leader, and your Charmander gets defeated, right? The gym leader, that's your challenge, that's your goal, that's whatever you're aiming for in your training. In my case, it was the planche, right? And so I go to the gym leader, I challenge the planche, and my Charmander faints. Now, what most people will do, right, is they will, when they get injured, they will allow their body to heal, for a while until the pain is gone, and then they will just go back to training like they did before. But guess what? You're basically repeating the same process, so you can expect the same result. It's like in your Pokemon game, your Charmander fainted. It didn't get any experience because, well, it was KO'd, right? And then you're going back to the Pokemon Center. Great, your Charmander is feeling healthy again, but it's not leveled up. It's the same strength as before, and yet you're going back to that gym leader just to get defeated again. You have to go to the wild grass and do some training to level up your Charmander so that you can then defeat the gym leader, right? So you do that, right? We have these rehab exercises those are the Pokemon, the wild Pokemon in the grass that we can easily do safely, right? In order to level up, in order to become stronger. So I was perhaps, sometimes doing some forearm exercises, and my forearm would become a bit stronger. That's great. Now I can challenge myself to the planche better, right? I can do some supinated planche again. That's great. But we forget, right? That's just gym leader one. That's the first challenge. But we often continue our training without continuing the rehab exercises, without continuing to go into the wild grass and train our Pokemon. So let's say I finally, my Charmander finally defeated gym number one, right? If I then go straight into the second one without leveling up again, yes, my Charmander got stronger, but now it's a more difficult challenge. So I have to make my Charmander stronger again. The training load is going to be more difficult. Perhaps you're going from a tuck planche to an advanced tuck planche. Perhaps you're going from push-ups to weighted push-ups. Or you're just doing more push-ups or squats or whatever movement that is getting you injured, right? You have to and that's the most difficult part. It's so difficult. You have to make sure that whatever weak spot got injured, you do at least something to get it in, like to keep it in line, basically. It's prone to getting weak if you don't train it anymore, if you don't do the rehab anymore. So even after your injury, you have to take care of that body part somehow. For me, right, I oftentimes, even though I don't feel pain right now, I will do exercises that make my forearm stronger, right, when I'm training the planche. And that's very important because that prevents it from getting too weak. That makes it so that the forearm stays strong so that it will not get injured again. I am training my Pokemon before going to the gym leader, right? And so it won't faint because it's strong enough. I won't get injured because whatever weak part in my body, it's now strong enough. And that's a very important part, right? Don't don't think, oh, I'm healed, right? I can just go back to my training because whatever training you were doing before, it got you injured in the first place. You have to add something, you have to change something. Perhaps it's the way you use your muscles, right? Or perhaps it's a rehab exercise that will allow you to stay strong. And I say, it's the way you do the exercise or rehab. That's because, well, let's take my ankles, for example, right? They got injured because of overuse, probably because I was running in some type of wrong way. And right now I'm doing rehab exercises, but if all goes well, right, in the end, I will not need those rehab exercises anymore. And so you're perhaps asking yourself, like Timmy, right? If you're not doing the rehab exercises anymore, eventually, isn't that just the same as staying away from the grass and then allowing your Pokemon to get weak compared to the next gym leader. Well, the rehab exercises can be hidden in your actual training. So for me, if I start running in the correct way, my ankles will stay strong naturally because I'm running in the correct way. If I execute the planche in a more correct way, perhaps I won't need forearm exercises anymore because now I'm activating my muscles the correct way, right? But you have to change something. Just don't just, think to yourself like, "Oh, I'm healed, I'm feeling fine." No, you just went to the Pokemon Center, but you're as weak as before, right? Your body maybe gets a little bit stronger, but if you're gonna keep asking more of it, you have to make sure that you also, give it the strength to keep up with that. And that doesn't always happen automatically in your training. So yeah, that's how you basically prevent injury. Injury can happen every now and then, right? That's natural. It's gonna happen eventually. So, but that's because you don't know your weak spot. If you go into the gym leader for the first time, you don't know how strong he's gonna be, right? So it's only natural that perhaps sometimes you go in there with a Pokemon that's too weak, but then you know, right? And then you can adjust. So getting injured once, that's just, it happens. But if you get injured over and over and over again, that's a pattern, and you have to fix it. So that's gonna be it for today's training. And well, I'll see you again tomorrow for a push day in a gym, I believe. So I'll see you then.